Scott Morganroth. Scott, thanks for stopping by. How are you? And how did this all happen? Like you're a podcaster, and that's how I connected with you and all that.
All
Tell me
right.
a little bit about your background.
Well, Neil, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on.
You're welcome.
How did it all happen? You really want to know the full story as to when it really started?
Yeah,
Really? Seriously? Really?
yeah.
Back in 1979, I got my first opportunity as a producer at WXYZ Radio as a producer, and that led to broadcasting opportunities or writing opportunities. And I built that on with the Detroit Monitor as well as other writing po- deals as well, and then continued to proceed to go on radio. And then as time goes on, you meet an awful lot of people in this industry, which led to me writing a book on everything. So to me, broadcasting sports media has always been a part of who I am and will always be a part of who I am. Why do you think I wear this little microphone on me? Because I live it. I talk about it. If there's a microphone to me, it's like a lollipop. I can never have enough of it.
All right, so let's talk about your pot. You wrote a book on podcasting, right? Or yeah,
Yeah. I do a lot of podcasts. I do different ones for different shows depending on what I have out there. I'll have a football show inside the pigskin. I'll have under Nate Stitch's baseball talk. The Sports Exchange is just a general show for which we go ahead and talk about everything. I have the show that Neil Smith is going to be on, the Motor City Mad Mouse show, which is a one-on-one show where I get to know in depth, personal and professional about the individual I'm talking with. I have another show called Sports Wrap where I'm able to utilize it as a hockey one, as well as other non-sports related shows, because not everybody's into sports. So you can't be a one-trick pony if you're in this business, or you're going to lose out on advertising possibilities and not be able to create the general audience that you're really looking to do. I've always found the more versatile Neil you are, the better off you are.
So what? So what was the other podcast? What kind of guests do you have on that podcast?
Which one are you referring to
It's a
now?
non-sports related.
Well, I got No Limits as one of them, which I really like because we can pretty much talk about anything there. And to me, it's a show where I can pretty much say, you know who actually helped me come up with that name is a late relief pitcher, Mark Littell of the Kansas City Royals, because he was a regular on my shows. I'm thinking, what am I going to use for a non-sports show? And we kept running names back and forth. Rest in peace, Marco. And we came up with No Limits, and it really has stuck.
So that's very interesting. And what kind of guests do you have on No Limits?
Anybody, brother, anybody.
It doesn't matter their background or anything. You'll have them on.
If it makes sense, I'll put them on. I've had lawyers on there. I've had actresses and entertainers. It doesn't matter. And once the one thing that I learned, Neil, in this business is you have to be different. You can't be the same old stale individual out there as anybody else. If I think there's a wild idea out there, then I'll do it. If you want to call me a gunslinger in this business, go for it. Okay. I'm willing to throw something out there and try it once. If I think it works, I'll do it again. If I don't, nothing wrong with trying, man.
Is it a do you with all those shows? Do you call it almost like a podcast network with all the shows you do?
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I call it South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network.
Okay. Okay. So great. So you have so that's on your website as well from your South Florida Tribune.
Yeah,
So
what it is, Neil, is WSFT broadcast is what it is. And that's what I really, really, really like about it is we have an umbrella of podcasts that suits different types of interests is what we have. So when you scroll down to WSFT broadcast, you'll see all the different ones listed. And I'm telling you, I don't mind adding other ones if they make sense, but they have to make sense. And not only do we do the podcast visual, but we also do them as well on audio. So you'll catch a lot of our shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, Amazon, and wherever you get your podcasts as well. So I don't believe in being a one-trick pony. How do you know you're going to have somebody that's on a bus that wants to listen to it? Well, you have the opportunity to do it. Just look for the show. Our website will direct you to them, and then go out there, look it up, and bingo, there you go.
so tell me about the magazine. I mean the publisher of the publishing side of it. What is the how's that work?
Great question. What I felt when we started this whole program was since newspapers were going down, I wanted to start something digital. And by doing so, I was trying to think 3 steps ahead. How many times have you heard Larry Bird go ahead and say, you got to think 3 steps ahead? Well, I take a lot of these things from people that are successful individuals in the business, right? He said, well, newspapers are going away. Why not digital? It doesn't cost anything to print anything out, right? Everybody's going to their computers, their iPads, and so forth. And as a result, so I, over the time, as I built this thing from scratch, I started with colleges and then added pros and then began to add places like the NFL, NASCAR, and all of a sudden it's ballooned. And I enjoy that because what we do is we have the Gators, we have the Miami Hurricanes, Florida Atlantic University Owls, your South Florida Bulls on that end. So we are able to get content from them. Nova Southeastern University is not bad either. They're known for their basketball program. And then you add media distribution partners like the Miami Dolphins, and you add them like the Jacksonville Jaguars. And of course, I add corporate Detroit stuff in because I'm from there. I don't want to lose sight, Neil, from where I'm from. So I don't mind being the Detroit contact down here for a lot of transplants in our neck of the woods as well. So even though we have a lot of local stuff on there, we still want to refer to us as a national brand. And we also have other plugins like CBS is on there and Wall Street Journal. And I believe that's the last ones I looked. So you have an opportunity to go out there and look at some of the national news as their plugins. So, and I have a local writer that writes about local things as well. So it's really well covered in a lot of different ways. And I'm always looking to expand. And I hire writers too. If I have young guys that want to write, make a name for themselves, use me as your stepping stone to get a job. I don't want anybody ever telling you that you didn't have enough experience. So I gave you the opportunity. Take advantage of it. My God, you should. Nobody will ever be telling me I didn't get a job because I didn't have experience. It's there. You can take the horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right?
So tell me, so you do you cover the events? You go to the events too
No, I
to
go to a
cover?
lot of them. For a time I covered the Panthers, but now that I'm pretty much on my own, I nowadays I pick select certain ones. I like to cover spring training. The University of Miami Hurricanes is big for me. I'm a big baseball guy, so I'm going to cover the Marlins, like them or not, because they've treated me really well. If I have the opportunity to cover other ones, I will. Otherwise, it really doesn't make any difference. We still get the releases as well. So as you go on, you want to go to some places where you probably get
Right.
the most cooperation and access to, and that factors into my decision about where I want to go.
So where do you have access to press passes? Like you have press for certain places you go
Sure,
to?
yeah, I love to go to the Miami Hurricanes at Hard Rock Stadium. Doesn't mean I won't apply to the other ones. For a period of time, I drove up to Jacksonville, did the Jaguars. I had a good friend of mine named Dan Edwards, who's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame in terms of communications guy. He gave me all the access I needed. I didn't mind driving up there as well because I'm a big meditator. I love to drive. So for me to go from here to Jacksonville was neat and work with and stay connected with the NFL. And a lot of that is in my book too, as well. So I'm willing to go a lot of different places if there's an opportunity to get content and put a lot of that on my YouTube channel. And of course, sometimes with some of the media releases we get, we'll incorporate our shows into the article and be able to see, you read it, you hear it. And part of my articles is if I talk to somebody over a media place, and I'll stick that in there right there. What it allows me to do, Neil, is allows me to decrease the stories by 3 or 4 paragraphs. Hey, you don't believe me? Click it. My goodness, you can't misquote a video, right? If you can, tell me how to do it because I'm not that smart enough to figure out how to do it.
So for independent media, what recommendations do you have for them to get press coverage to be able to get media passes to cover events?
Well,
What
what you want to do is, if you have a well-known name out there, you just contact the communications person directly, let them know who you are and what your reach is. And in many cases, if they think you're legitimate, they'll credential you. If they want to see bodies of work, what they're going to do, they're going to require that from you. And a lot of what I've done, thankfully, through the years is I've been able to work through relationships, and the relationships have enabled me. But there are times I've gotten turned down for events, and I don't care if I get turned down there. I'll go somewhere else, and it doesn't make any difference. And again, I broadcast podcast 4 times a week, so I'm really limited to pretty much Friday, Saturday, and Sundays in terms of going to games is what I do. Or maybe I'll catch something during the day like spring training. It's a different story. But I like the balance, Neil, between being able to go to live events and still stay in the studio like I am, because it really gives you more of an overall effect of trying to be able to conquer all worlds.
does your publication cover not just sports now?
Yeah, it really, that's a good question. We have Governor Ron DeSantis updates comes to us all the time. We have a drop down for him. So we want to make sure that it's well-rounded. And we get a lot of people that want to send us press releases from other ones, and we put them on drop down, we put them up there, and we promote some of them depending on what they are on Facebook. We don't promote the governor stuff on Twitter because we don't want to come across as political or anything like that. The only two things I really don't like to do podcast on are politics and religion. That generally gets you into trouble. If it's a lighthearted thing where, yeah, politics or religion, talking sports where it's lighthearted, I might let that fly. But it's not like we're supporting candidates or stances or anything like that, because that's not what really we're about. My goal here is to educate and inform and entertain. If you can go ahead and do all of those things, you've had a pretty good show.
All right. Where's the best place people can connect with you, Scott?
Well, you can, if you're on Twitter/X at Tribune South, if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do so. It's South Florida Tribune, but our email address is southfloridatribune@gmail.com.
All right. Thanks again, Scott. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you very much for having me, Neil. Pleasure anytime you need me. I'm here for you.
All right. You're listening, watching the